Guardian ad litem.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer guardian ad litem for the minor child.
Sasha Thomas, counsel for the department.
Ontropolis, child welfare specialist with Lenawee County DHS.
Michael Brooks, I represent the mother, Jackie Lomas. Jackie.
Jackie Lomas, mother.
Michael McFarland, representing the father. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Dakota Harmon Duckworth. I'm the father.
All right, welcome back. Okay, Ms. Underwood, whenever you're ready.
Yes, Your Honor. I was able to meet with the minor child 2 times during this reporting period. Once at his foster placement a couple of weeks ago. He was happy. He was engaging with some toys and showing a lot of smiles, a lot of interaction. His placement indicated that he's meeting all of his milestones. They thought maybe he had had a lazy eye, which they went got checked out to make sure that there was nothing that needed to be done there. And then I also got to observe the minor child with Miss Lomas at a visitation. So I was able to see the minor child again there. Again, he's doing well and is meeting all of his milestones that he needs to be meeting at his age. And currently he is in the least restrictive and most appropriate placement at this time.
Did you say he's too young to express a preference at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. If Ms. Kolpas can be sworn in.
Ms. Kolpas, come on up to our witness.
Ms. Kolpas, you've prepared a court report for today's hearing. The cover page indicates the case service plans for the parents, L&L parenting time reports for mom, Orchard's reports for mom, a rundown of classes taken by mom from CPC, and then the proof of service. Are there any other documents that you filed or circulated since filing the packet with those listed documents?
No.
Okay. And are there any updates or modifications that you're aware of that need to be made to the court report or any of the attachments?
No.
At this time, do you believe that there's still a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being if he were to be returned to either of his parents' care and custody today?
Yes.
And can you briefly summarize what that substantial risk of harm is?
The substantial risk of harm in regards to father would be unstable mental health. At this time, he does not appear to have the mental health stability that would allow him to appropriately parent his child at this time. And with regards to mother, her parenting skills at this time would not be adequate in order to raise Silas as he would need at this moment.
Yeah. Ms. Kolpas, we are on YouTube, so we'll try not to use the minor's name.
Should have warned you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you for that. And what services, I guess, has the agency or the department offered to help address those risks of harm to the child?
With regards to mother, she has participated in mental health services with ACPC at this time. She is also participating in parenting education with CPC of Lenawee, Orchard Children's Center, as well as with L&L Parenting as an aide. And at this time, we are coordinating and working together to ensure that she is building her parenting skills. With regards to father, we have attempted to implement mental health services and to get him into the necessary mental health stability.
As relates to mom, these parenting classes or supports and services, would you describe those as being very hands-on?
They are very hands-on. Each of the coordinators and myself are very hands-on with mother in terms of providing instruction, providing mirroring examples, and ensuring that mom is accurately using those skills.
At the last hearing, there was some concern about mom's ability to parent even under supervision. Has there been any change to that or any update that you'd like to provide the court?
There have been There's been no positive changes. If anything, we are starting to see mothers struggle a bit more as S becomes more mobile. The issues that we were having before in terms of her dressing him and feeding him and changing his diaper have proven to be more difficult as he is now moving, and she does continue to struggle in that area. We have not mastered certain skills that I would have expected by now, including feeding him and calculating when he's due to eat next. And those continue to be barriers for mother.
In your report, you indicated there's partial compliance, I think for both parents as relates to completing the psychological evaluation and following through with recommendations. What areas or referrals need to be addressed from those recommendations for the parents to become in compliance?
Right now, there doesn't need to be any referrals, or we need to see compliance with the services that are have been initiated and that are in place. I have not received an update regarding mother's mental health with CPC, despite efforts to reach out to them. So I, at this point, do not know exactly what mother is working on in those sessions. When I speak to her, she's unable to articulate what she is also working on in those sessions. With regards to father, it's my understanding that he does have services in place, also with CPC of Lenawee, and that this is at the beginning stages of those services.
I'm sorry, are you saying CPC or ACPC?
I'm sorry, ACPC, I apologize.
Okay. So I believe that stands for Adrian Counseling and Psychiatry?
Psychiatric, yes.
Psychiatric care? Okay. Okay. And for father, those services at ACPC, your report indicates that he is not willing to maintain the medication or take the medication as prescribed.
So it's my understanding that following father's hospitalization, it was recommended that he participate in psychiatric medication with Lenawee County CMH. Lenawee County CMH has also recommended that he participate and take medication, as well as his new provider has also recommended medication for him as well. In my previous conversations with him, he does not appear to be open to medication. He continues to believe that he does not need medication. He believes that they are making his symptoms worse, and that if he were to continue using marijuana and caffeine, that he will be able to manage his mental health moving forward.
And has he changed his, to your knowledge, has he changed his mind regarding participating or engaging in therapy?
He has not. He has indicated that he will participate in therapy, as he does understand that it is a condition of the court. However, he does not believe that it will be beneficial, as he does not believe that he needs this service.
And has he continued to decline virtual parenting time since you've filed this report?
Yes.
Okay. One of the conditions that were listed, or one of the recommendations from, I believe, I don't know if I can't remember if this is Dr. Parks or Dr. Haugen, was that dad demonstrate 3 months of mental health and behavioral health stability, essentially. Do you believe that he's done that?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, since we were here last in December, has there been any more concerns about domestic violence or the parents' behaviors?
We have not received any indication of domestic violence in the home. I did ask for police reports, and there was no indication that anything or that law enforcement had been out to the home. I have seen the family's new home. It does seem to be appropriate. However, I'm a little concerned that the family doesn't want to seem to purchase furniture, as they're afraid that when they leave that they'll have to move that furniture. So the house does not have couches, tables. It merely has the basic necessities of their bed, a television, and a few other pieces of furniture.
And is Miss Lomas' mother, is her mother, so the maternal grandmother, she's still with the family and assisting?
She is. She did temporarily return to Washington, and then she has since returned back to Michigan.
Okay. And as it go for the child's well-being, is there any updates that you'd like the court to be aware of?
When I visit S in the home, I see a very engaging child. I see him using serve and receive attachment. I see him responding to his caregiver. He appears to be meeting his milestones. That I do not see that type of interaction when he is engaging with mother and parenting time. I do not see him reaching, seeking comfort, seeking her out in any way. And so I do see differences in how he's behaving between visitation and seeing him in the home.
And I think you use a term of art, maybe in the attachment world, the serve and receive attachment. Can you just briefly elaborate what you meant by that?
Serve receive attachment is where if you were to smile the baby would smile back at you. So you give them essentially an emotion or attachment, and then they mimic it back to you. And this builds trust and bonding moving forward so that they understand how to relate to emotions.
So the child's not mirroring mom's emotional cues.
Correct.
Is there any indication that, one of the arguments that may be brought up is, okay, well, it makes sense that this child's having this response to a caregiver who the child sees on a regular basis versus mom, who's just twice a week, very short periods of time relative to the caregiver. And with that, is there any indication that there should be an expansion of parenting time?
I do not believe expanding his parenting time would be in his best interest at this time. Mother currently struggles with the parenting time already given to her, and I believe that she would continue to struggle if allowed more time.
Other than the behaviors that you just testified to, which to me kind of were more about the child's responses and attachments to the caregivers and mom, does the child seem to experience any distress or discomfort during parenting time?
He does not. Mom is very hands-on with him. She does tend to struggle still picking him up, and so he does seem uncertain when she seems uncertain. But usually between myself and the other parenting instructors, we are there to kind of pick up the pieces, ensure that mom is adequately caring for him.
I noticed in, I believe it's Orchard's reports, that there seems to be the Orchard's worker and then either one or two people from the department. Can you help us understand who's present during parenting times?
So in regards to the parenting time with L&L, it is Miss Lomas and Miss Edwards. And then the Thursday visitation is supervised by Orchard's Children's Services and myself. There have been a few other people in my department that have covered for me over this reporting period. They have all been familiar with this case, such as Sarah Harvey, who had did the initial removal and was able to provide feedback.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you believe the court should know for purposes of today's hearing?
Mom really does try. She puts her best effort into what she is doing. On paper, when she is doing the quizzes and regurgitating the information, she is doing her best. I 100% believe that she is making effort. My concern is that it doesn't seem to be happening quick enough and efficient enough, and I'm worried that those skills may never develop.
Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Kopis and move to admit the court report with the attachments.
No objection.
I have no
No
objection.
objection.
Okay, thank you. They are received. Questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland?
This child was taken almost immediately from mom at birth, if I recall, correct?
Yes,
And mother's visitation has been how many hours per week?
twice a week for 2 hours for a total of 4 hours.
So do you really expect that 4 hours a week, this child is going to form some type of bond with somebody who he's never lived with?
I do, because I've seen him also engage with myself, and I see him just as much as mom, if not less than mother. I've seen him in different environments, and he will respond to me differently than he will respond to mother.
You understand that both of these parents have some diagnosed impediments, right?
Yes.
Under the American with Disabilities Act, what is your agency or yourself doing to comply with the ADA?
In regards to mother, we have implemented more parenting education. Each parenting education program is working individually one-on-one with mother. We've also implemented short quizzes to ensure that she's getting all the information and obtaining them, and then she also has the opportunity to review that material with me as well. Material is read to her if she is unable to read it or understand it. She does appear on paper to be understanding some of the course material.
What about father?
In regards to father, he has begun parenting classes with CPC of Lenawee. My main priority for him right now is that he needs emotional stability in order to move forward. We've attempted to help him in services. He has been in services. He does not appear to follow through with providers.
I understand he does not have a cell phone. Is that still correct?
Yes.
Is your agency able to help him get a government phone?
I'm happy to assist with that. I don't know the logistics of it, but we can moving forward. He's always indicated that we can contact him through email, as he does have a tablet, and that we can also reach out to him through Ms. Lomas's phone.
Has that 3-month countdown started, or is that reset? Where do you stand for him having parenting time?
I apologize, I don't
In your
understand.
psychological evaluation, it suggested a 3-month period of compliance and mental stability. Is that running, or have we not started that?
My expectation would have been that he would have begun that as soon as he did that psychological and began his initial mental health services following being hospitalized. So as far as we're concerned, that clock has already been running.
So has he demonstrated, well, he needs a 3-month period of time demonstrating mental stability. Is he in that cycle? Is he demonstrating mental stability right now to start that clock would be my question.
No.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Questions, Mr. Brooks?
My client is, as you've testified, attending various services under the sponsorship of your department. Could you tell me what they are again?
So the services that we implemented were Orchard's Children's Services, the parenting education program, and L&L Parenting Aid. She initiated CPC of Lenawee on her own, and as well as her mental health services.
Could you tell me what's involved with those latter two agencies?
So the agencies that we put into place are hands-on. They work through a variety of skills.
What does that mean, hands-on?
It means that we are actively involved with her. So if Jackie's on the floor with the baby, then I am on the floor with her and the baby. We're never not without arm's distance of her in case that she drops or has anything that needs to be helped to picked up. She does struggle to carry him, and so there have been times when I have been behind her ensuring that she does not drop him.
You say struggles not to drop him, is that right?
Yes.
In what sense do you mean? I mean,
If
how'd she struggle not to drop the baby?
So when she is bending down to pick him up from the floor, she gets stuck in that position and then has to hold it. And then I am uncertain as to whether she is able to bring herself fully up or if she has to leave him on the floor. And she struggles in those transition positions. So she struggles with holding him while she transitions to sitting down, or while she's standing up to sit down, she struggles to transition with him in her arms.
Has she ever actually dropped the child?
She has not.
Do you know whether my client can read and write?
She reports to us that she can read and write. It's been my experience that she cannot read as fluently as she has articulated.
Have you ever tested her to have her read something to you?
We've had her read through the material given to her by Orchards, and then there are quizzes that she has to read and answer those questions. She does appear to understand those.
All right. Is there anything she's done that would indicate to you that she cannot understand or cannot read and write?
She does not appear to understand the court report. She doesn't appear to understand certain other documents provided to her. I do believe it is a comprehension issue.
All right. Now, you say she's seeing the child, what, 4 hours a week? Have I got that right?
Yes. As well as she does participate, she has previously participated in medical appointments and those things as well.
That's in addition to the 4 hours a week?
Yes,
And is she attending those doctor's appointments?
yes,
Is she attending her visitation faithfully?
she is.
When she's caring for the child, and I assume the child needs care during each of those 2-hour intervals, is she performing the functions that need to be done in a way that's appropriate?
She is making her best effort to do that. She is within her skill set to care for him. The issue is that some of her skills have not quite caught up to him. As an example, she still struggles with feeding him a bottle and trying to figure out the timing of when he's due to eat next, and he's already moving on to solid foods. And we haven't even been able to introduce that as a skill set because we have yet to master the first half.
In what way is she deficient?
If I were, as an example, if S arrived to visit and he had eaten at 10:30 and it had 6 ounces, it is up to mother to calculate the next 3 to 4 hours, which he will likely to eat next. She is unable to do that independently on her own and often gets confused with numbers and does not understand. She will guess the number instead of working it out. Myself and Miss Edwards will have to count out the numbers with her and then come up with the time that the child eats next. By the time he's due to eat, she will have forgotten that time and will have forgotten that calculation that we worked out earlier in the visit.
I believe in response to Mr. McFarland's question, you indicated that you thought my client and the father had certain deficiencies. Is that right?
Yes.
Would you tell me what you think my client's deficiency is?
According to the psychological, Ms. Lomas has an IQ of 58, which shows us a level of impairment. I worry that she is unable to sometimes care for herself. We've had issues in terms of her hygiene coming to parenting time. We've had issues again with calculating feeding time for him. The parenting information that she does appear to understand, she cannot remember several weeks later. If you were to ask her again, what did you learn in week 2? She would not be able to articulate what she had learned. She struggles to overall give me answers to basic questions, such as who's her neurologist? When's the last time you had appointments? Even when she attends S's parenting time, she's indicated that she needs her mother to be present with her so that she ensures that she understands all of the information and is worried she'll miss something without her mother present.
You've indicated that you have seen my client read and write. Is that right?
Yes.
Would that be consistent with an IQ test of 58?
I'm uncertain of that.
Your Honor, I was just going to object to that line of questioning. I just think that it calls for Ms. Copus to speculate beyond what she's capable of testifying to. I've allowed this type of questioning to go on for quite some time, but this information was provided to the court and to the attorneys at trial and again at the initial disposition. And so if they're trying to get at something such as services are not adequate, then I believe it's incumbent on them to bring up what services are inadequate and what services would be adequate and how the parent would fare better.
The response to I guess it's an objection. I didn't bring up the IQ of 58, the witness did. And to say I can't follow up on that, question her on that is frankly just unfair. Of course I can cross-examine her on that. If the witness is not qualified to testify as to having an IQ of 58, then it shouldn't have been brought up in the first place. But it has been. And I'm not going to be restricted in my ability to impeach that particular information if I'm able to do so.
I think Ms. Copus did a fine job in responding to the question about IQ, and I do agree that much of the information that's being solicited from her has been testified to in direct and was contained in the court reports and the attachments and exhibits. Nevertheless, Mr. Brooks does have the right to cross-examination. And I think some of the examples and the things that she's walking through are important for the record, for the parents to hear as well. So I am gonna allow him to continue his line of questioning.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't have a great deal more to ask you, ma'am. She's cooperative, correct?
Yes,
She appears to be motivated in your impression of what she's trying to do?
yes, she loves her son very much.
That's all I have.
Ms. Underwood?
How are you, Ms. Copus?
I'm well, thank you.
Would you say that Ms. Lomas struggles with mastering skills in time for them to be utilized before the child has develops a new set of skills?
Yes,
Okay, so true that Ms. Lomas maybe did make some progress with diapering or changing while he was immobile.
I'm actually going, no, because we're still having the same issues regardless of his movement. We're still having the same issue with regards to wiping, where she is not quite fully getting the genitalia, but is cleaning the inner thighs of the child instead of actually where she needs to, and has to be reminded and instructed regularly of what she should actually be doing.
So is it fair to say then that the concerns with Ms. Lomas's ability to diaper and clothe a child are exacerbated by the child now being mobile?
Yes, my last face-to-face where I watched her parenting time, it took her approximately 20 minutes to change him.
What is the department's position as far as permanency for this child? What is the goal at this time?
The goal is reunification.
Have there been any considerations of a concurrent goal of adoption?
We have explored that with the caregiver. We have explored that also with relatives that have been involved. At this time, the goal still remains reunification. I would like to see mother complete some of these programs such as orchards and see how much benefit we can see from them. But at this point, we are seeing very little benefit.
At what point would the department consider a goal change?
At the completion of the parenting education with orchards, that would be the full 16-week program in combination with the 6 months of intervention with L&L, and then the 6 months of intervention with CPC of Onaway. She is scheduled to finish with orchards at the end of this month.
Okay. So is it fair to say in the next 90 days, we'll have a better idea of the outlook of this case with respect to whether a goal change is appropriate?
I think in the next 60 days, but definitely in the next 90. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Redirect Ms. Thomas.
No, Your Honor.
Any other questions, Mr. McFarland?
Just a few. From your opinion is the child is nowhere close to being reunited with the parents in their current apartment, correct?
Correct.
So how the apartment set up really is not relevant at this point, correct?
It's not so much how the house is or isn't set up. It's the mindset that the parents don't see the significance in turning their apartment into a home to provide an adequate home for this child. They do not see the importance or relevance of furniture to provide a home. They have the basics of what they need and an air mattress for the relative. My concern is that the furniture that they do have for the baby, he will outgrow by the time if he were to be reunified at this point.
Which led me into, I think you kind of anticipated, but the relative, is that the mother-in-law? Or I should say, mother's, the biological or the maternal grandmother, is she living there?
She is temporarily residing in the home, yes.
If you tested her or talked to her to see if she knows how a grandchild should be handled, how the child should be fed, etc. Have you questioned her about that?
I have not had that direct conversation because it's not my expectation that she will be parenting this child.
Not parenting, but if she were a 24-hour companion to her daughter, might that bolster the safety of the child?
I think given her CPS history, I would still have concerns. I would also have concerns that a parent would need some sort of companion 24 hours to raise their child.
You had I imagine there are cases in which there are parents who are mentally challenged that have a child and an extended family to help them. That doesn't mean CPS becomes involved, right?
I couldn't speak to that.
Nothing further.
Mr. Brooks?
No, I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you for your testimony. We return your seat. Thank you. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
My client has asked that he would like to testify, so I call him. Please watch your head, sir.
All right, Mr. Herman Duckworth, coming up to our witness stand.
But the consult you got,
Always.
watch your step.
How would you like me to address you today? Sorry.
Dakota, Cody, anyone works.
Eddie, what?
Dakota or Cody?
Oh, okay. Dakota? You wanted to comment on what you've heard so far, right?
So the first thing that I wanted to mention was my mental state. I actually told her that I went to a new psychiatrist because the old psychiatrist I had repeatedly asked for over 3 months to explicitly change my meds. They were not affecting my mood at all. They were literally making me almost to the point where I didn't want to go outside at all. And that is a very big thing for me. I was even on a weed at that point, which is the normal thing that lets me go outside and have my joy time.
Do you have a new psychiatrist now?
Yep, I have a new psychiatrist. I'm also taking new medications that is specifically for my mood stabilization. I've been taking those for at least 2 months.
Okay, who is that psychiatrist? Do you mind
I
sharing?
don't remember off the top of my head because it's the newest psychiatrist that
Do you
I've
know
only
where-
met him twice.
Do you know where he practices, what the name of the facility is?
I believe it is the same counseling place that my honey goes to, but I do not remember off the top of my head because it's literally, I've only been there twice and I've had 2 telehealth visits.
Would you be willing to sign a release so Ms. Kopis can contact your provider and verify that you've been doing that? Would that be okay? Okay. What else would you like to comment on today?
Most of the time, whenever I'm even in a emotional irregularity, which is normally, I have 2 modes, which is normally grumpy or sad. And when I'm sad, I usually go and stay away from people. She's already seen that because last actual, court case, she caused one of those episodes to happen. When I had asked her to leave me alone, she did not.
Who's the she?
Uh,
Ms. Kopis?
yes.
Okay.
And those are one of my stipulations. I have ADHD, bipolar disorder with, depression, which normally if something depresses me, I usually ask them to leave me alone so I can reformulate my thoughts so that I can actually have a moment. If that is not the case and we want to rediscuss that, I would like to rediscuss it at a later time normally, but that never usually happens. So.
Okay. If they want to have you do a test, some type, drop a urine test to verify you're taking your medications, what would be your thoughts on that?
I would be fine with doing that. I'm taking them now. That's another reason why my mood is stabilized on court, at least.
Okay. And do you understand that the psychiatrist who interviewed you would like to see 3 months of you maintaining stability in order to have
Yes,
personal visits?
yes, I do.
Okay.
I was originally taking the medicine that was prescribed over a month ago, or it was 2 months ago, because of the reason that I had issues with it. And then I stopped taking it a month, and then I told her about it, and that didn't happen.
Did you wish to address you not having virtual visits with your child?
Yeah, actually, the reason why I originally didn't want to have virtual visits is because I didn't want to look like I was crying on the mic. Because I'm going to constantly be thinking about my child and that can't be.
What about now?
Still the same answer.
Okay, I appreciate your frankness and honesty. What do you think that we can do to help you on this
One,
case?
the reason why I said counseling would not work for me, and I'm going to be honest with you, the major reason is because every time that I go in there, they're going to want me to talk about my life. That usually just brings up bad memories, and then I have to go home. That's every time that I've gone to a counselor. That means every single time I'm going to be almost grumpy when I come home. That gets usually brought around the house, even if I'm on my mood stabilizer. That's usually why I try and offset it with caffeine or marijuana.
So that's your
normally.
triggers is what you're telling me.
Yeah, my triggers,
Okay.
normally.
Anything else? This is your opportunity. Anything else you want to express to the court today?
Half the time when I have come home, or my honey has come home, she said the visits have been doing fine. The last visit, when she was actually having her baby visit, she said the baby was kicking so much that it even broke a nail, which caused her to bleed. Which was on top of that, one of the reasons why she was having issues. Oh, also, they had the gall to send her a baby doll after we had explicitly asked her not to do that. And they say that she's not able to actually take care of it. This baby doll does not move. It does not do anything. It literally just sits there. Thought I would mention that.
Fair enough. Is a doll, did you see the doll?
Yes, I did. It's called Love Baby.
This is a doll you can feed and diaper and things like that?
It doesn't have any of those attachments to it.
Fair enough. Included with what you want to say?
For right now, yeah.
Well, why don't you stick around? We'll see if any other attorneys have questions for you, okay?
Okay.
Any questions, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks?
Mr. Harmon Duckworth, you are obviously aware of your mood cycles, if I may
Yes,
call them.
very much so.
The question has been asked to the previous witness, Ms. Kopis, whether she believes you have maintained or made progress towards mood stabilization. Do you remember her being asked that?
Yep, I actually haven't really had any real talks with her. She actually has been going behind my back to actually talk to my honey, asking
Well,
for
let
my
me ask you a
prescriptions
question.
and everything
This is
else.
just the preliminaries following up with a question.
Yeah, sorry.
The question I have for you is, do you agree with her statement?
No, I do not. I'm gonna be honest.
Let me ask the question,
Alright.
please. Do you agree with the statement that you have made no progress in the last 2 months in achieving mood stabilization from the way it was before?
Not since I've been taking this new medication, honestly.
And how long have you been taking that new medication?
It's been 2 weeks to be exact. I'm giving you the exact timeframes that I've been trying to get these up instead.
And in that 2 weeks, have you felt a difference in your moods?
Honestly, yeah. I even mentioned that to Miss Kopis too, about my new medication that I was taking too. I just couldn't give her the answer to it because I've had so many medications in the last 2 months.
And how often excuse me, do you speak to Ms. Kopis?
The last time was only at the family team meeting. After that, I haven't really talked to her.
And when was that?
I have no recollection of that moment because of times and dates.
So has there been any conversations between you and the caseworker?
Not really.
Let me finish the
Sorry.
question. About your mood stabilization goals.
No, not really, not at all. I'm gonna be honest with you, because whenever they've only seen me literally once, and that was at the family team meeting or at the house visit that was maybe a month ago, roughly around that time.
Do you happen to know what the the different medications you're taking now are?
I know their dosage, but I'm taking doxycycline for my face because my face was causing me issues. I'm taking a new lotion medication that is specifically for my face and an antifungal cream for my face, just to offset that. I'm taking another 25 milligrams of, I think it's tyrosine or something along those lines.
Mhm.
and it's 25 milligrams, and that is for mood stabilization for my bipolar.
And how often do you take that?
I take that every morning, and that normally makes me feel kind of cozy throughout the entire day.
Did you say dozy or cozy?
Cozy, cozy, like in a warm blanket kind of deal. Cozy.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Questions, Ms. Underwood?
Dakota, are you still using marijuana in conjunction with your meds?
Yep, and it has actually been offsetting the majority of my side effects. Because whenever the pill starts going down in the later part of the day, I only have to take it at night times normally to help me go to sleep.
And how much marijuana do you typically use on a daily basis?
6 puffs to be exact. And they're from a 1 gram cartridge of marijuana, which is not a lot, I'm gonna be honest with you.
So you're no longer taking the gummies?
I'm not taking the gummies because I have a smoking porch now.
And have you talked to your psychiatrist about using marijuana in conjunction with your psychiatric?
He just
meds?
told me it would make me sleepy. He didn't say it was a problem, unlike the last psychiatrist that actually told me, no, you should stop that.
You heard Mr. McFarland talk about, what if Patty Lomas was a 24-hour caretaker for Jackie? Would that work in your family dynamic?
I mean, yes, it would. It would honestly probably help her a lot because Patty has dealt with a lot of children, which I have seen in the house that it does help slightly. But at the same time, she does have a tendency to overstep her bounds to the point where some things are not the best for Jackie. And Jackie will say that, and Patty will override those.
Historically, you've indicated that you have a pretty tumultuous relationship with Patty. How would you say that relationship is now?
Since she's been back, we literally only had one fight. I'm gonna be honest with you. And that was about the fact that I didn't know that $300 was spent. And that was because money that I didn't know that we thought were saved for other things, for say, furniture for the house, might I add, was that case in point.
So what have you done since the last hearing toward your case service plan?
So I have gone to a doctor's appointment to get my face fixed because that was a big problem that I was worried that it was going to infect the baby, cause any issues or something along those lines. My face is starting to go away since I started taking doxycycline. No issues about that real major. What was the question again? Could you restate it? Okay.
What have you completed in your case service plan?
I've gotten a new psychiatrist. I've gotten new meds. I've gotten the fact that I just haven't gotten counseling done for that fact because the last time that I called up for my counseling, they told me that they couldn't actually provide for my counseling. They didn't know what they could even do for me, honestly. That was what I was told on the phone. I talked to CMH about that too the last time, and they told me the same thing. That's why I got directly sent to a psychiatrist.
So your position that you do not want to have video visits with your child?
The reason why is because I have emotional irregularities when that would be happening, because when I see him, even when I'm seeing a video of him, I start to cry because I can't see him. Wish I could say that wasn't true, but that's the major reason why I have those.
I'm just asking if you are continuing to decline those visits.
I'm declining them for now because I can't deal with them emotionally, if you know what I mean.
All right, no further questions.
Any redirect, Mr. McFarland?
None.
Thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat. Thank you. Any other witnesses?
No.
Mr. Brooks, any witnesses?
Patty Lomas.
Thanks. Let's come on up to our witness stand.
Jackie, for the last hour or so, you've been here and heard all of the testimony, haven't you?
Yes.
Is there any comments you'd care to make about what you've heard here?
So at my visits, Ava said that I was not progressing. I would say that that's not true. because he's now rolling around and he's at that age where he's rolling around and kicking everything, which does make it a little bit difficult to change him sometimes. And it does take about, I would say, like, sometimes it does take about 10 minutes to change him. When I'm wiping, I don't wipe his thighs. I wipe his genitals. What she said about wiping his thighs.
Does the worker or the supervisor step in to correct you when you're doing that?
Sometimes Linda Edwards tells me to wipe him. Sometimes she would tell me to not wipe him so hard. Sorry. Sometimes she would tell me to not wipe him hard.
Are you getting the baby clean?
Yes, I am.
Have they ever said to you that the job you've done is incomplete?
No.
Now, there has been some sort of sideways references to your mental abilities. You're aware of that?
Yes.
Would you care to comment on that, please?
Well, they say that my mental ability is not stable enough to care for the child.
Right.
Which recently I was diagnosed with ADHD by a new psychiatrist, and I started taking medication for that.
May I interrupt you a minute?
Yes.
Are you aware of whether that psychiatrist has filed a report?
No, she has not.
Does she intend to?
I have not asked her about it.
All right. Are you going to see her again?
Yes.
Would you ask her to, please?
Yes, I will.
And submit it to the court.
Yes.
Now, back to what we were talking about. Well, it was your mental acuity, wasn't it?
Yes.
Can you read and write?
Yes, I can.
Can you type?
Yes, very much.
I believe the report says that they tested your IQ at 58. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
You agree with that assessment?
No.
When you have seen reports or lessons, let's start one at a time. When you've seen lessons that have been provided to you by the department, can you read them?
Yes, I can.
Do you understand them?
Yes, very much.
You, in fact, have written stories, have you not?
Yes, I have.
I see one here, which I am not going to bother sending in as an exhibit, But that's a story you wrote and you typed, is it not?
Yes.
What's it about, basically?
It's about a boy, it's called the,
Well, I believe what I asked you is, what's it about?
It's, I'm sorry, it's about a boy, who was framed for his brother's murder and, has to go on to try and solve try to solve the try to find the person who was who framed him.
All right, all right. I'm also looking at the desk here where you and I have been sitting, and I see a notebook that seems to have quite a bit of writing in it, doesn't it?
Yes,
Whose writing is that?
mine.
Do you have any concerns about your ability, your capacity to take instruction from the caregivers who the department has assigned to your case?
No, I do not.
Caseworkers or foster parents?
No,
When they say that you don't seem to remember things from one meeting to the next, would you comment on that, please?
sometimes when they talk, sometimes when Ava Copus is talking to me, or like sometimes usually during the visits when Ava Copus asks me stuff like when did he eat last, or when she's talking to me about usually stuff about like my appointments or whatever. I'm usually trying to be more focused on the baby, which I'm paying more attention to the baby, so I'm not usually trying to pay attention to Ava. So I can't really, so my attention is trying to be more focused on him rather than her. And I'm trying to split my attention both ways, and it's usually hard for me to what's the word I'm trying to look for? No, split my attention both ways, I would say.
Your attention is focused on the child.
Yes.
I see. When you get instructions and say 2 or 3 days pass, do you still remember what you were told to do from their perspective the correct way?
Yes.
Now, your speech patterns are slow. You're very deliberate in the way you speak, aren't you?
Yes, sometimes.
Like when you're under pressure?
Yes, when I get nervous, I'm very slow.
Do you get nervous when you're at these visitations with these caregivers?
Yes, very much.
Are you right now?
Yes.
Conversationally, you would be more back and forth in a quicker manner.
Yes.
Do you have any other children?
No,
This is your first baby.
yes, this is my first.
Is there anything else you want the court to know?
I don't think so.
All right, thank you. There may be other people who want to ask you questions.
Questions, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
With your ADHD, is it easier for you to get instructions in writing or for somebody to talk to you with instructions for you to remember?
Usually talk to me. It's usually like when they're talking to me.
How about when you're nervous, like at a visit with your child or in court? Is it easier for you to get things in writing or for people to talk to you at visits?
Sometimes in writing.
Okay, okay. Now with this new psychiatrist, what's your new psychiatrist's name?
Sarah Thomas, I believe.
Would you be willing to sign a release so Ms. Kopis can verify what you're telling us that
Yeah.
you're doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Ms. Underwood?
Jackie, is it true that you do have trouble going from sitting to standing or standing to sitting with the baby?
No. No. I recently I had a seizure a few weeks ago, and when I had a seizure, I kind of fell on the floor, and when I fell on the floor, I hurt my back, and my back has kind of been hurting me ever since. And it's kind of like, it was kind of hard for me to pick him up a little bit. So that was the reason why it was kind of hard for me to that was the kind of reason why it was hard for me to pick him up. But it's not hard for me to, right now, it's not hard for me to sit or go from sitting to standing. But I have a doctor's appointment coming up very soon.
Is it true that you have issues calculating when the baby needs to eat?
No. I do math in my head. So from the time the foster parent tells me that, says that when he ate last to when he needs to eat, I do math in my head, and I let Linda Edwards, and I tell Linda Edwards the time that he needs to eat next.
You don't have any issues remembering that time?
No.
Are you capable of working?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because of my seizures.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of that.
Because of my seizures.
Your fears?
Seizures.
Okay.
Are you capable of managing your own funds?
Huh?
Are you capable of managing your own finances?
Yes.
And are you doing that now?
Yes, I am.
Right, you had a payee before, so have you now taken over the responsibility of your
No,
own?
I still have a payee, but I am managing my own finances. I pay my own rent, and I pay my own bills.
And have you shown Ms. Kopis examples of you doing that?
No, because she hasn't asked me for a I've given her I have given her my lease agreement, but she hasn't asked me for an example of our bill management.
Thank you, no further questions.
Okay,
I have one question.
go ahead.
Have your seizures been medically diagnosed?
Yes, they have.
What is the cause?
Juvenile myoclonic epilepsy.
Thank you, that's all.
Did you have questions, Mr. McFarland?
Just very few. Would you like your mother to be present at the visits? Do you think that'd be helpful to you or not?
They asked if she would like to be. I told them if she can come once a month. But honestly, I would just like it to be me and the baby, because I just want it, like to bond with him myself.
Fair enough. One last. Can you tell us what time it is right now? By looking at the clock behind you? You see that on the wall?
Oh, behind you, baby.
I can't really tell because I struggle with telling time.
Okay. So is there a way that we can help you keep track of time? For example, if Ms. Kopis says a half hour from now, you have to feed your baby. If you had a timer, can you set a timer on your phone or anything?
I have apps on my phone that helps me. But I do math in my head to help me remember, because I'm better I'm better with doing math in my head, counting down in my head, or usually with a calculator.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat.
No further witnesses.
Ms. Underwood, anyone you'd like us to hear from?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Comments in closing, beginning with the silence, please.
Thank you, Honor. I think a lot of what we've heard today and what was presented in the court report and the attachments echoes what this court was provided back in December as well. I feel like we had the same testimony from both parents at that date and time at the initial disposition. There were some concerns about orchard service, and I believe this court really noted how appalling it was that the reports were so brief. And during this review period, that has changed. The reports are more thorough. They're still really in alignment with what Ms. Edwards testified to at that last hearing as well. And there just isn't enough progress. This child's developing faster than mom's able to catch on to what is needed and how to provide for him. Dad has not made any progress in his case service plan. It's very confusing to try to follow who his providers are, what medicine he's on. It seems like there's contradictory statements even within his testimony all at once. And so, Your Honor, I really believe that at this time, the child is in the safest environment in foster care, that the parents do pose a substantial risk of harm to the child if he were to be returned to them, and that this case needs to continue. The department is offering services that are aimed at assisting the parents with understanding, considering their limitations. And it's sort of I don't know if it's a double-edged sword or how to explain that, but Ms. Lomas is testifying that she can write stories, and is totally capable, yet she can't work because of her seizures. She's unable to recall information when she's flustered or anxious. And a lot of those things are present when you have a young baby in your life. And so I think that the department's doing their best to offer that hands-on parenting education to her, in trying to ensure that she's able to comprehend what is happening and what information is given. The short quizzes to help retain information, I think they're really following the ADA requirements there, but also doing some active efforts for this family. So we will continue to do that. However, with orchards ending soon, I'm not sure how or what other service can be implemented. So, Your Honor, we are asking for another 90-day review as we continue to determine the best course forward. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
No objection to a 90-day review, Your Honor. I think my client was adequately able to express his position. Thank you.
Well, I think the department is misunderstanding my goal here for this afternoon's hearing. I'm not trying to get that child back today. What is happening is my client has indicated that when she is under stress, like she would naturally be with these 4-hour, 2-hour visitations with folks with her, that is a stressful situation. That is not hard to believe. The argument I think that I am going to try to make here today is not that she get the same or less parenting time, but that she get more. I mean, people themselves are saying she's not getting emotionally attached to the baby. I forget what the term was that went back and forth, but I get it. I understand what they're saying. I'll even accept that it's probably true, but that's because the mother is a total stranger to this baby. Let's put a stop to that. Let her have some parenting time with this child, more supervised parenting time. The child will get to know the mother will get to know the child. Maybe some of the stressfulness of the situation, having these other people present, will ease up a little bit. That's really what my goal here is today. Let's get more face time between this mom and her, what is that child, 3 months old now?
6 months.
6 months old child. Seems like a reasonable request to me.
Your Honor, this is a difficult situation overall. We have a mom who desperately wants to have the capabilities of caring for her child. However, it's clear to me, both through the evidence provided in the court reports, as well as the testimony, as well as my own personal observations of parenting time, that Ms. Lomas is truly not capable of adequately caring for this child. What Ms. Lomas testified to with respect to being able to stand up and sit down with the child is completely contradictory to what I witnessed myself. Frankly, I was ready to stick my hands out in the event that this child is going to be dropped. I was concerned and always on high alert. And again, I'm not saying that because Ms. Lomas isn't trying. I really don't think that that's the case. I observed a diaper change that took several minutes. She attempted to put the diaper on backwards. He kept moving and rolling around, and she was hyper fixated on wiping his genitals when he just had peed, to the point where Ms. Edwards had to tell her to stop wiping. Again, these are things that we've been talking about for several months, and there's just not been any progress made, which is unfortunate. On the other hand, we have Mr. Harmon Duckworth, who is still presenting with some mental health issues. It doesn't seem to be taking accountability for any of that, or providing the necessary documentation and information we need to know if he is making progress on his case service plan. He's been provided several opportunities to at least start with FaceTime or video parenting time, and he's declined that. Again, there's an extreme lack of progress on both ends. Again, I think for Ms. Lomas, it's not due to lack of trying. I believe that it's appropriate at this time, due to the child's age, that we consider a concurrent goal of adoption, not just reunification. This child deserves permanency and stability, which he's getting in his current placement. He is in the least restrictive and safest environment, and I believe it is in his best interest that he continue there pending further order of the court. Thank you.
Yeah, the court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing and permanency planning hearing. I do find the department has fulfilled its obligation to provide reasonable efforts towards reunification, as has Ms. Underwood in her role as guardian ad litem. The child is in the safest and least restrictive placement at this time, given the continued challenges that the parents are trying to overcome. Obviously, the testimony received from both parents was an attempt to discredit the observations of a number of caseworkers in this particular file. And in fact, even frankly, the guardian ad litem, and I don't think that that's necessarily something that is done in an attempt to discredit the workers, frankly. I think it's an attempt to paint the parents in a better light. And I think it also reflects the idea that we have two parents that really don't understand the limitations that they have and the challenges that are here for this child if this child were to be returned to their care. Mr. Harmon Duckworth is still not exercising parenting time. And I would be very interested in seeing whatever medications and mood stabilizers he is on. But according to the court report and the testimony of Ms. Copas, if he has accomplished that, he has not provided that information to her, which is imperative, considering the fact that that information then has to go to the attorneys and to the court and would demonstrate progress in the very significant high needs, high risk area of his mental health, which he had talked about today a little bit. And we heard about in depth at the trial and what sort of limitations and aggression manifests when Mr. Harmon Duckworth is not, and in fact, sometimes even when he is medicated, whether it's his choice of medications or the psychiatric choice of medications. We've seen no relief from those symptoms under either category, which puts this child at significant risk of harm if returned to his care. Ms. Jacqueline Lomas continues to reside with Mr. Harmon Duckworth, and we unfortunately would not be able to rely on her to care for this child for many of the reasons explored in the record today and contained in the court report, including something as simple as picking him up and placing him down, changing diapers, and retaining the skill sets that she needs to make sure that he gets his basic needs met. So there are clearly some significant needs here, and despite attempts by Ms. Lomas for sure, and maybe even Mr. Harmon Duckworth's attempts, there's clearly no progress happening here in order to create an environment that would be safe for this child to live in if he were to be returned to these parents this time. I give Ms. Copas a lot of credit here for not asking me to change the goal to adoption today, given the frustration and the high level of risk, frankly, even occurring during parenting time as it relates to Ms. Lomas and her attempts to take care of this child, even on a very limited basis. I find her testimony and the remarks in the parenting time observations and the court report by the other professionals hired to assist in this case to be credible and consistent with what's been described over the course of the past 6 months. I will not allow any increase in parenting time until and unless we see some gains, and that's my decision on parenting time. We'll have our next review and permanency planning hearing on May 12th at 10:30 in the morning. It's a Monday. So Monday, May 12th at 10:30 will be our next dispositional review and permanency planning hearing. And I would be inclined to acknowledge that the dual goal is appropriate in this case, as requested by our guardian ad litem. And I'll review that at our next juncture as well. So for today, given the limited prognosis for improvement and the need for this child at this very young age to be stabilized and continue to develop, I am going to change it to a dual goal of adoption and reunification, and we'll see where we are at the next juncture.
Your Honor, we're off record. Do you want the new address?
Yes. Thank you. All right. That's all for today. On record for the third review and permanency planning hearing consolidated with a request for termination of parental rights as it relates to both parents. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer, guardian ad litem for the minor child.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department.
Eva Copas, child welfare specialist with Lenawee County DHS.
Good morning, Your Honor. Charles Dowie, appearing on behalf of mother. Can you please state your name, Jackie?
Jacqueline Lomas, mother.
Michael McFarland, representing father.
Dakota Harmon Duckworth, father.
Thank you.
Good. All right, anything preliminarily or opening statements this morning from our attorneys?
I will be calling my client, Your Honor, today.
I have no opening statements, Your Honor. This is a continuation. I think we've already we've done that.
We adjourned to consolidate everything. Would you mind refreshing the record with any report you might have?
Yes, Your Honor. I was able to observe the minor child via a Zoom call. Recently just turned a year old. He's couch surfing and surfing furniture, getting very close to walking. He waved hi to me when I talked to him online. He's just really growing and thriving, meeting all his milestones. His placement continues to and has always provided him with the care, comfort, and his necessities. And where he continues to be placed is the least restrictive, safest, and most appropriate at this time. Considering his age, he is too young to establish a preference.
All right, testimony this morning, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Honor. From my recollection, in my notes, it states that we stipulated to the mission of the report that was submitted for the July 7th hearing. And I just want to confirm that is still everyone's understanding.
I have a report dated and received August. You mean for the last hearing?
Correct, Your Honor, because I know we were going to keep it open for questioning. And so I just want to make sure that everyone was still in agreement that, you know, it's in the record and we don't need to address it.
Yes, this is that's what I have in my notes too, is that we completed the review and permanency planning hearing, but started the termination trial back on July 7th, received all of the exhibits. And then today would be a fresh hearing with the understanding that if the attorneys had any cross-examination on the old exhibits from July, that would be left open.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. McFarland?
No, those are my notes, almost the same.
Mr. Noe?
I concur.
All right. Well, then let's head into testimony, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. If Ms. Copas can be sworn in. Good morning, Ms. Copas. You have provided a court report for today's hearing. Your cover sheet includes the case service plans for both parents, parenting aid reports for Ms. Lomas, and then documents from the Care Pregnancy Center related to both parents. Are there any other documents that you have circulated since you've submitted this packet?
No.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to your packet?
No.
Since the last court hearing and your last report back in July, how would you describe the parents' level of compliance with and benefit from the case service plans?
Their compliance and progress in case service plans remains the same as it did prior hearings and in the July hearing as well. Mother continues to be compliant with services. Although we have not seen full benefit of those services, she does continue to complete them in participation in those services. With father, we have not seen emotional stability during this reporting period, similarly to the last reporting period as well. I have seen more movement from father in regards to obtaining services and working a little bit more closely with community mental health than he did prior. But that is also still in the beginning stages.
Thank you. One of the main concerns in the petition for the request to terminate the parental rights is Ms. Lomas, as it relates to Ms. Lomas, is her lack of benefit from services. However, there's a disagreement as to whether she's been offered appropriate services in compliance with ADA. During the last 6 weeks or so, have you had an opportunity to thoroughly review the services she's been provided and whether the department is in fact in compliance with Title II of the ADA standards?
I have, and I believe we are.
And can you please tell, for the record, state why you believe that the department is or has adhered to those standards?
While working with Mother, specifically working with Mother's parenting education providers, each provider respectively created their own plan and a plan with the department to adhere to mom's special needs. Mother Care Pregnancy Center, based on Mother's needs and her intake, provided an entire care plan, which was specifically addressed to Mother's apparent disability at that time, which allowed for the pausing of videos, extra time in terms of processing, providing feedback, and then an opportunity for dialogue back and forth, as well as Care Pregnancy Center at our request did repeat several important sessions from year one when it became apparent that although on paper mom had understood and had practiced those courses, we were not seeing them implemented. With regards to orchards, very similarly, it was apparent from the beginning that Mother would need extra assistance. And so there was time allotted before and after for instruction to be given clearly and precisely what would happen. The lesson plans that were provided to Mother were either verbally read to her or given to her. They were in grade school level material, which had pictures included relative to that topic of that day. They would then do retention quizzes to ensure that mom had understood the material and that she was able to potentially apply that moving forward. Orchards also did a lot of coaching and modeling of behaviors to give mom examples of how to move forward in parenting. With regards to L&L parenting, there's been a great deal of modeling allotted for feedback, pauses, going back, reviewing information, repeatedly reviewing information over several courses. There's been open dialogue for Mother to indicate where she does not understand and where she does, to provide her own feedback. And so with those accommodations, those are how we continue to aid Mother. It became very apparent from the beginning that there actually was no other way to work with mom. Had we not implemented those accommodations, I don't know if we would have even have gotten this far.
On Friday, Ms. Lomas' attorney provided myself with a list of accommodations that could be provided to Ms. Lomas. Did you have an opportunity to review that list that was sent over to you?
I did.
Okay. And I'm going to go down them one by one for Ms. Lomas' benefit. The first one, are instructions repeated or written? In the services that are provided, are instructions repeated or written?
Yes.
And those are documented in the reports, correct?
Yes.
And the materials that the Orchards program offers, are those tangible papers?
Yes. So when I sat in on those visits, she was provided with the small packet, 2-3 pages, again, very large print in a grade school level, pictures associated with whatever the topic was, and then depending on that week, whether Ms. Lomas could read it or it would be read to her.
And was she able to take those materials home?
Yes.
Did she have access to organizational tools like a feeding chart or a calculator or a calendar?
She often used her own calculator on her phone, which was encouraged when she was struggling to calculate time and how much the child had eaten and what time frames he would need to eat in. She, again, used her own calendar on her phone for appointments. Overall, for the case service plan, she has been able to make appointments and arrange transportation fairly well. I cannot say that direct charts were followed. I know that videos and other material were walked through with her in regards of how things should be done.
During parenting time, or during instruction services, was there an effort to reduce any distractions?
Yes. So Orchard would meet with mother privately in the visitation room, which typically the door had to be closed, especially during that time because our office was under construction. So it needed to be closed in order to even just hear yourself think. So she was provided that one-on-one. And then as well as when she works with Linda from L&L, she's also given one-on-one time before and after, in which there's no one else interrupting that time.
During meetings or during parenting time or other services that Ms. Lomas has engaged in, did she have an opportunity to take notes?
She was encouraged to take notes during family team meetings. I know that she had taken notes when it came to the quizzes for retention. I do not believe that we directly told her that she could take notes, but we never hindered her from taking notes either.
During services, was she provided with feedback and like how she's doing or live feedback on any assessments that she might have participated in or the materials that were being reviewed with her?
Yes.
And what about during parenting time? Was she also offered feedback on how she was doing during parenting time?
Yes. So as part of the L&L, she also has Ms. Edwards as a parent aide. And during those sessions afterwards or during times when she would transport mother home, they would have feedbacks about what happened during the visit, what potentially could have been done differently, what went well, what we continue to need to work on.
And was she provided an option to step out during meetings when she felt overwhelmed?
When it became apparent during meetings, the opportunity was given to her to step out. She overall did appear to maintain during meetings and not express being distressed, but when it did appear that she was, we did offer for her to be allowed to have a moment.
Did she ever articulate that she was feeling overwhelmed?
No. During meetings, Ms. Lomas never made admissions to any impairment and never said that she was overwhelmed. It just became apparent when she was struggling to speak and would have multiple pauses in her speech.
During your interactions with her or the departments and service providers, do you believe that there were clear verbal and written or written instructions provided to her?
Yes.
And when there were concerns about whether language was clear, what did the department and or service providers do to ensure understanding or attempt to ensure understanding?
So I know with Orchards, like, again, they did the retention quizzes where they would pause and go through the program or that lesson of that week. And then they would do the quiz to understand if varies between 3 and 4 questions, multiple choice, so that mother could decide whether she understood what was happening in that lesson. With Ms. Edwards, there's always an opportunity for feedback. And I observed Ms. Edwards speaking with her into clear language. During these moments, I have seen mother articulate that she does understand. There have been moments where she actually becomes defensive and does not believe that she needs us to instruct her, that she knows exactly what she's doing.
Have you observed her with the same demeanor and language during prior court hearings as well?
I have.
Has Ms. Lomas been provided extra time to review materials and or learn materials that have been provided to her?
In regards to her parenting education, she has been provided with extra time to review materials. With the department, I typically email her materials such as like the child's medical passport or case service plan, and I allow her to read that at her leisure and then ask her to come to me when she's ready for feedback or if she does not understand.
Have you discussed with anyone whether you believe Ms. Lomas is in need of a guardian?
It has been a conversation that we have had within the department. We have discussed whether that was warranted at some points. Specifically on the onset of the case and when I received the case in December, whether this warranted enough action to make an adult protective services complaint. Mother does appear to be maintaining at this point, and so we did not escalate to that point.
During your interactions with Ms. Lomas, have you confirmed that she understands what is happening in your conversation or what to expect in court?
I have explained to the best of my ability. She has informed me that she understands. She will articulate that, yes, she understands. However, sometimes she continues to stare at me as if she doesn't. And so I'll ask again if she needs any clarification.
How have the parenting classes and parent aid services been tailored to or adapted to Ms. Lomas's cognitive abilities?
So again, with regards to Orchards, mom's material was changed to the easy reader level, which is my understanding is kindergarten through 5th grade, which also then provided pictures. That is not typical of that program. Those materials were read to mother and the retention quizzes were provided. That is not also a standard within that program. With regards to CPC of Lenawee, their program is designed by videos, also following up with retention quizzes. However, the pause for clarification and pauses to ensure that mom understands, that part is part of their care plan accommodation to ensure that mom is understanding the material being taught to her, as well as repeating several courses from the first year of their program to ensure that mom was retaining that information. She does on paper tend to pass her quizzes and it does appear that she understands. We just don't always see it in practice. In regards to L&L, again, once more allowing for the instruction before and debriefing afterwards, as well as pauses and modeling to ensure that mother understands what is happening and what is going on in those sessions.
Did L&L Parent Services or Parent Aid work in collaboration with Orchards to support the Orchards goals and materials?
They did. So anytime mother was provided with her lesson plan and quiz, I would then provide that to L&L Parenting so that they could support that lesson that had been taught. Ms. Edwards did find that most often mom did not quite understand or remember the lesson from going from her visit with L&L to her visit with Orchards and vice versa.
How frequently would you check in with, or did other service providers check in with Ms. Lomas during any interactions, if you're aware? I'm sorry, I need to rephrase this question. The accommodation request is frequent check-ins by a support worker or case manager to ensure understanding. How did the department or service providers accommodate that request?
Mostly by observation as to whether mother appeared overwhelmed or appeared to understand the material. Again, she often articulates that she does understand. And so they were able to move forward, but then again, we don't see it in practice. And so there's quite a bit and often pausing of making sure that mom understands, or if there's a better way of phrasing for her to understand information.
As relates to the services that are outlined in the case service plan, do you believe that it's presented in a small, manageable, or in a way that it breaks it down into small, manageable steps? And the issue has not been mom's compliance with the case service plan, correct? She understands what's expected of her, correct?
Yes.
The service providers, such as those providing parenting classes, therapy, supervised visitations, are they provided by professionals that are trained or certified in working with individuals with cognitive impairments?
Specific training, I can't say. I know that they're all professionals. They all are trained to do their program. Ms. Edwards has a vast knowledge of working with both children and adults with limited impairments. But to say a specific training or certification, no, I don't.
You're not sure about that?
Correct.
Okay. Has Ms. Lomas been provided with lists of expectations to prepare for upcoming meetings or parenting times or services tailored, whatever that means?
I mean, during the parenting education portions, she's met beforehand, and the lessons are presented and the expectations of what will be worked on and what is adhered to in that lesson and in that parenting time, because both with L&L and Orchards, the time before that is where they would discuss and expectations and instruction, then the visitation would be supervised by that coordinator, and then the debriefing would happen after the visitation was over. And so they got a full scale of giving the instruction, providing it, getting the feedback, watching her attempt to implement those services, and then a follow-up afterwards. And in my experience in sitting with Orchards, and then occasionally I would walk in L&L's time, I've seen them use appropriate language with Mother.
Did Ms. Lomas ever request and or has anyone ever requested prior to Friday, disability-informed advocate or support person to attend case meetings, classes, or hearings with Ms. Lomas?
No, Ms. Lomas, the entire duration of this case has been adamant that she does not have an impairment. We did have a FTM in the early part of this year in which Mother argued that she did not believe that the IQ provided in the 2019 psychological completed for Social Security benefits and the 2024 psychological completed for the department, that neither IQ was accurate and that she did not believe that that was an accurate reflection of her functioning. And at that time, we had advised her that she should seek a way of obtaining that herself then. But she was adamant at that point that she did not have any impairments and that she fully understood what was happening.
And then there's a request for an agenda prior to meeting what you guys are talking about. Has that been provided, or how do you interact with Ms. Lomas in a way that there's some knowledge about what's going to be talked about prior to a meeting?
Most of my communication I do attempt to do verbally. However, Mother does struggle to have oral conversations, and so it does appear that text messaging is the best way to communicate. When communicating meetings, I do tell her, like, I ask for her input about when times and places should be for these meetings. I remind her that she can have a support person with her. She often chooses her partner or her mother, who have been frequent to our meetings. And then we do discuss what is on the agenda. And so if we're only discussing case service plans or we're only discussing parenting time, I will tell her that. Generally with meetings with Mother, we don't try to do more than 2 topics at a time because that becomes overwhelming. So usually its focus is case service plan compliance and then maybe parenting time as well. And we try to keep it to that.
All of this has really been focused on Ms. Lomas. Have the same accommodations spilled over to Mr. Harmon Duckworth?
No, mostly due to lack of compliance. Mr. Harmon Duckworth, other than email, does not have a direct means of communication, and there's been an unclear means of how to communicate with him. In some conversations, he has informed me that I need to speak directly to him, despite him not having a phone. However, in other areas, he has said that it's okay to communicate with Mother regarding that, and that's fine. He does not always respond to emails as well. He does meet with me monthly as agreed upon, And during those conversations, we do attempt to talk about the case service plan and where he's at. It is rare for him not to become escalated and defensive during those conversations.
And during this, the duration of this case, has there been any progress in his, I guess, treatment of his mental health?
No, there has not. He has not had consistent mental health services since the onset of this case. There was recommendations following his hospitalization in September of 2024 that did not appear to be followed up on. Mr. Dad has a habit of disagreeing with his service providers, and once he's decided that they are no longer in support of him or they do not agree with him or he does not like what they are saying, he tends to leave that service provider and move on. With the exception of most recently, he did have an insurance issue with ACPC. However, that insurance issue was an issue that Mr. Duckworth created himself and was not listening to what was being requested of him multiple times. And instead of
Mr.
I'm sorry, but I apologize. That was a oh no, because to repeat, I mentioned directly to
Hey,
her
Mr. Herman
repeatedly.
I'm going to remind you that you will have an opportunity to.
Yeah, I know, that's why I said oh no. That's why I was trying my hardest.
I understand. We're going to need your best efforts to not interrupt until she's finished, and then you'll have your opportunity.
Sure.
Do you need the question repeated, or do you need to?
No, it's fine. There was an issue with insurance. It does appear that early in the case, he was asked to provide a bank statement, and that was in September in order for him to have full Medicaid. When that did not happen, he was transferred into a different plan, which basically only covers emergency care. But instead of he did not provide me with a bank statement until after the new year. And then instead of providing the bank statement as needed, as requested, furthermore, he just continued to reapply for the services. And then finally, I do believe it was in May that he provided the bank statement to the state of Michigan for those services, and his insurance was implemented once more.
Has he, can you please just refresh the record as to why Mr. Herman Duckworth is not receiving or did not, I'm sorry. Can you please refresh the record as to why in-person parenting time with Mr. Herman Duckworth was suspended?
My understanding is that at the onset of the case, he had posed a safety risk. There was an incident with a knife, and the department and the worker at that time felt it was not safe for him to have in-person parenting time. And then as well as we received his.
I guess I'm objecting, and the reason is this is a review and we're covering what's happened during the last period, and we're going way beyond.
And I've already
Hang on,
explained
I have my chance to talk. Sorry. And we're going way beyond that time frame, Your Honor.
Would you like to respond, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, I can appreciate that for a standard review. However, I believe at the onset of the record today, we've all been in agreement that this is a continuation of a termination of parental rights hearing. And some of this information is relevant as it relates to best interest factors and the parents' compliance with parenting time, or how often they had parenting time.
Any other comments, Mr. Noe? Or
I would use the court's discretion.
I would concur with Ms. Thomas due to the fact that it is a termination trial.
yes, some summary and limited review of the records as a whole for purposes of determining whether or not there's been progress on our case services plan in different areas is appropriate. So I will allow it. But I appreciate Mr. McFarland reminding us of that fact, because I too wish to avoid a complete review of the record. So you may continue this.
Thank you. So there were safety concerns, is that correct? And then the psychological evaluation recommendations?
Yes, it recommended at least 6 months of emotional stability for us to move forward with father. And we have not seen that over the course of the case, and we have not seen that during this reporting period or any other. In actuality, Mr. Herman Duckworth has become very defensive of that situation and has repeatedly claimed that the department is being hypervigilant. and that we are taking things out of context, and that he does not believe then or now that he was a safety risk.
And does the department continue to offer virtual visits or virtual parenting time to him?
We have repeatedly offered him virtual parenting time. His answer through the course of this case has remained the same, and that he finds them to be triggering. He does not see the potential for the bonding between him and his child through virtual parenting time. He continues to request in person and believes that that is the only way for him to establish a bond with his child.
Is there anything, but just briefly, I want to kind of get into those best interest factors. Have you been able to observe the bond between the child and Miss Lomas?
Yes.
And how would you describe that bond?
The bond is limited. It does not fully appear to be there. Miss Lomas does make great efforts to engage with her son, to get reactions from him. She does do a lot of serve and receive attachment. However, she does not always get it in return. So she does put it out there. He doesn't always return it. There are moments where she's attempting to do that, but instead of watching for his response, she will look to myself or Miss Edwards to see if we are watching her. And so she doesn't always pick up on the feedback that he's giving. But the effort for the bond is definitely there. Mother does try her best to secure a more close bond. It's just very limited at this point.
There may be a question as to whether that is simply the child's temperament and behavior towards all caregivers. Have you observed anything different from him to anyone else?
I have. I've experienced it myself while visiting him in the home. I've also seen him interacting with his caregiver, the foster mother, as well as the foster mother's mother. I apologize. And I see a completely different child. He's very enlightening. He's babbling. He's talking back. He's very noiseful and very much is heard in that home. I've seen him be affectionate, where he leans in for comfort and guidance, where he will snuggle towards someone. And those are just some behaviors I had not observed with Mother.
Is the current foster home willing to adopt this child?
Yes.
And do you foresee any barriers to adoption with this family?
No.
Have you been able to observe Miss Lomas and Mr. Harmon Duckworth's home?
I have.
And does it have adequate space for the child to be there as well?
It has adequate space when Miss Lomas's mother is not in the home. Yes, there is adequate space for the child, yes.
And this, I don't know necessarily how to word this, but do the parents have they prepared for the child to be returned to their care? Like, do they have any materials there in anticipation that he might be returned?
They've had some over the course of the case. I would never say that they were fully ready for him to return, but they have had various beds based on our recommendation over the time that he's been there, or the time that they were anticipating him to come home. They have had clothing, diapers, certain formulas, various car seats, again, depending on his size. However, none of these items have been particularly all given or obtained by the parents, but rather were provided from CPC of Lenawee as part of their parent education program. When I spoke with Father regarding these, he often talks about having appropriate toys in the home, and that seems to be his focus, as opposed to the other more essential things, such as baby gates, baby security things, so they don't get into other things.
Is there anything else from your court report or anything from your knowledge of the case that you'd like to highlight for the record today?
I was informed by Mother approximately 4 days after an incident recently, within the last 30 days, that Father did have an incident with an altercation with the neighbor over some recycling bins. I was informed that law enforcement was contacted to the home. However, when I contacted Adrian PD and requested records, they did not have a report. But father made it a point to inform me like Friday of that incident again, letting me know what had happened and describing the altercation as well.
Okay. All right. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Kopis and would ask the court to accept and receive the documents that were provided for today's hearing.
Objections?
No objection.
None.
None.
Thank you. They are received. Cross-examination, Mr. McFarland?
I do. I understand the disabilities of my client to be under the American Disabilities Act.
My understanding is that it is regards to his mental health, which is what he was approved for Social Security for.
And is he receiving benefits for that right now?
Yes.
So what accommodations are you making specifically for my client's mental health? And, well, let me backtrack. What specific mental health issues is it your understanding that creates this disability diagnosis?
I am actually not aware of Mr. Harmon Duckworth's diagnoses. I am aware of what their potential was that each provider wanted to treat him for. I know that when he had gone into the hospital, they had said that at that time he was having bizarre behavior and that they were unable to fully finish their assessment because he was not adequately answering the questions. They would ask a question in regards to the here and now, and he did not appear, the answer would not be even in the realm of what that question was related to. It would be completely off base. And so at that time, they had a hard time assessing him. At this point, he has not stayed with a provider long enough for us to assess further into that.
My understanding, you said the parents are not fully prepared for return to the child, but you're seeking termination of parental rights at this trial today, correct?
Yes.
And why should there be a need to fully equip a house if their rights may be terminated?
Multiple reasons. One, they were preparing for their child to come home. And with regards to Mr. Harmon Duckworth, it was not necessarily what was in the home that was concerning, it was the conversation of what needed to be in the home and the focus being on toys, whether they were age appropriate or not, as opposed to how to ensure that they had enough diapers, how to ensure that they had enough bottles, what food stage he was at, those things of that nature. He was, when we talked about the bedding needing to be different, that he was out of a bassinet and that he needed a full crib, he did understand that and he did make arrangements for that to occur.
Let me put this in perspective. During the last review period, has mother had a visit with the child in the parent's home?
No.
Are there any, if this case continues and does not wrap up today, is there any future expectation in the near future that there would be a parental visit in the parent's home?
No.
So having gates and things of that nature really isn't a priority if there's no anticipation of an infant visit with the parent at the home, correct?
No, I would disagree with that. I think that the parents are actively planning for their child to return home, even through all of these conversations. And so I would expect that they would plan and prepare for that.
My understanding is that your expectation is that my client, the father, would form a bond with the infant without personal contact with the minor child. Is that did I hear you correct?
I suspect that he can do it. What I would like for him is I needed him to be emotionally stable so that he was safe enough to visit in person. And we never achieved that during the course of this case thus far.
With absolutely no parenting time suspended, do you agree that it's not possible to form a bond with the child if your parenting time has been suspended?
His parenting time was not suspended. His in-person was suspended. He was offered virtual, and I do think that he could have bonded and made rapport with his child through those virtual visits.
How old is his child?
He was 1.
The child was removed from the hospital from mother initially, correct?
Yes.
Still believe that bond can be formed with a 1-year-old by Zoom?
I think the beginning stages of a bond can be built. I think that this child could have learned his dad's voice. He could have understood what he's saying. At this point in the child's development, he is learning from videos and understands what television is. He would recognize a moving figure on a screen.
Let me go back to my initial question and what accommodations have you made for what you believe are my client's disabilities?
We have engaged father in trying to implement mental health services. He has been very resistant to all of those services as he does not believe that he has an impairment. During family team meetings, he's been allowed to move around, pace. He's been allowed to speak as he needs to. He does often need to be reminded to not speak over other people, but he's been allowed to freely express himself. He's been allowed to dictate his treatment as he believes it needs to be. And we continue to work with him. I have also worked extensively with our payment assistants to understand why his insurance and what was going wrong with that. We've also provided him with bus tokens to these service providers.
My client was taking parenting classes here in Adrian, correct?
Yes,
Apparently there may have been an excused or unexcused absence or lateness in which he was dismissed from the class. Am I understanding that correctly?
no, that's not what happened.
Okay. Now, my understanding is not attending a parenting class in person right now, correct?
He is not. So my understanding is
That's fine. Are you aware that he has on his own accord been taking parenting classes via the internet? Are you aware of that?
No,
You are aware that there are parenting classes through the internet, correct?
I am aware of that.
And some people may work best in a low pressure situation, such as an internet versus a personal meeting. You would agree with that also, correct? Some people.
Some people.
What are those?
Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Copas.
Good morning.
Ms. Copas, when were you assigned to be the worker on this case?
Approximately December 5th of 2024.
Okay. It's about 8 months or so.
I've been actively working with the family, yes.
How many reporting periods has there been since then?
Our reporting periods or the court's reporting period?
About the court's reporting periods, good question.
I believe we're on our third. I apologize for that. That's not accurate. I believe we're on our third review.
Were you the author of all those court reports?
Yes,
It's the department's understanding that my client has some sort of documented cognitive limitations. Would you agree with that?
yes,
Would you also, you would also agree that the department knew about that from very early on? Is that also correct?
yes,
And you also understand, you had questions from Ms. Thomas earlier. You understand that DHHS is required to comply with the ADA when providing services. Is that also correct?
yes,
Is it also your understanding that requires that my client be given reasonable accommodations and modifications for services to cover those disabilities? Is that also correct?
that's my understanding, yes.
Did you ever arrange for an ADA specific assessment to determine what exactly supports or accommodations that my client needed?
No,
Did you have like a specialist, such as like a neuropsychologist or something like, or a cognitive expert, compare a written set of recommended services and modifications of those services based on the apparent disability?
no, we had conversations with her mental health provider, or we attempted to have conversations and meetings to best approach mother, and those were not fruitful.
You put together a case service plan, correct?
Yes,
And how many of those case service plans do you think you've prepared over your career?
hundreds. I've been doing this 13 years.
But the case service plan that we have on this case is really the same form you'd give any parent, regardless of their cognitive function, correct?
It's similar, yes. I know in this most recent one, we did break down things a little bit further for expectations for mother, yes.
The service plan that was in the file now lists complete parenting classes as a requirement. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a note in that plan that classes should be one-to-one instead of group sessions or anything like that?
That was not noted in the case service plan. That was worked out with each individual provider.
Is there any requirement that the provider use plain language materials?
That was the expectation of each provider because, again, in working with Ms. Lomas, there's no other way to communicate to ensure that she would have understood.
The case service plan doesn't require any sort of additional repetition or visual representations to account for those learning styles, though, correct?
Correct.
And does the plan provide for any extra sessions beyond the regular courses?
Not in the case service plan. Those are worked out with the respective providers.
Is it the department's understanding that my client struggles with reading comprehension?
That's difficult to assess because I believe that she struggles with it based on her testing and assessment and based on my conversations with her. However, when we speak with her, she tells you that she does not have an impairment and that she can read absolutely fine, to the point that she has showed me different things that she has written, such as poetry, her high school diploma, and she has talked about going to college. Those conversations, she does tend to get defensive and does not believe that she has an impairment.
But the plan itself expects my client to, and I quote, follow written instructions. But again, based on your own testimony, you would agree that she has some issues with reading comprehension, correct?
Yes.
Were any attempts made by the department or any providers to substitute pictorial instructions or hands-on modeling or something like that as opposed to written only instructions?
Well, during the parenting education over the 3 respective providers, we did use a variety of those. So we did use modeling, they did use videos for visual aids, and then they did use written instruction, depending on where they were in each stage and mom's understanding at that time.
You did ensure that all service providers were trained to work with individuals with intellectual disabilities, correct?
We did not specifically ask for that training, no.
The plan schedules parenting time in the same setting and format as other parents without disabilities, correct?
No.
Would you agree that no additional support person was provided during visits to help implement skills in real life?
No, I mean, Orchards provided a one-on-one aid in parenting, L&L parenting, as well as the parenting aid was the one-on-one provider, instructor, and aid that would assist mother in those programs and understanding of material.
Do you know if those sessions were ever videotaped or recorded?
No.
I should ask that a different way. Were they recorded?
Not to my knowledge. We would not record a parenting time.
Is that something the department has previously done?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Is that something Orchard or L&L has ever done?
No.
Don't you believe that was somebody who, according to the department, my client has an intellectual disability, would benefit from being able to have that recorded, be able to review that later on and get feedback?
I don't know if that would benefit her.
So, despite the department's position that my client has an intellectual disability, DHS did obtain a specialized ADA assessment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did modify the case service plan content to accommodate for ADA requirements, correct?
Case service plan itself, no.
It also did verify independently that service providers were disability trained. Is that also correct?
Correct.
earlier you testified that DHS made accommodations for my client's intellectual disability through the service providers. Is that correct?
Yes,
And would you also agree that those accommodations were part of the case service plan that was done in anticipation for the family? Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that?
Sure. Those accommodations were part of the case service plan that was done for the family, correct?
Yes, they were part of the case services for mother.
Do you see anywhere in that case service plan that had any language about providing services in plain language or visual aids at all?
No, well, Orchard, I'm sorry, I take that back, I apologize. With Orchards, there was written instruction, and with those, again, there was pictures or charts related to whatever that lesson plan was that was provided to mother. But once more, through all of these accommodations, mother did not ask for accommodations and actually became defensive, saying that she did not need us to do those things.
In terms of the accommodations, you testified today that your understanding the accommodations were provided in compliance with the ADA. Is that correct?
Yes.
When was the first time you documented these accommodations in your reports to the court?
They've always been documented because the entirety of Ms. Lomas's program has been designed around her mental impairment, her whole cognitive impairment. We would not have been able to teach her in any other way. All of the things that we have implemented now have been implemented from the beginning. Things may have changed in terms of structure as we learned Ms. Lomas, but providing the extra time, the feedback, the pause for clarification, those were all provided through the entire course of this case.
Can you document at least in any court report where specifically you addressed that these were the ADA compliant accommodations?
They're not in the court report, no.
So would you agree, is that true? That reports have spanned, I think, 3, you said over several months, there's been no mention of specifically accommodating my client's apparent disability in compliance with the ADA.
There was no wording that described accommodations, but rather mom's participation in those services. And it's my understanding that the goal was to provide accommodations so that she could learn the material and that she could bring herself up to standard instead of lowering the standard for her to fit.
Do you have any sort of written policy that the department has that defines what constitutes an accommodation for a parent with an intellectual disability?
Accommodation is anything outside of the standard program that individualize each plan to meet the parent's needs.
Did you ever explain to Ms. Lomas that what you're providing was meant to be an ADA accommodation?
We did not use that phrasing. We told her that these were being made to clarify that she understood what was happening and that she could best gain knowledge of the material that we were providing her with.
Were those accommodations ever listed in the treatment plan or case service plan?
They were not.
You mentioned that, for example, I believe one of the providers does one-to-one time with the parent. Which provider is that?
All of them. My understanding is that CPC of Lenawee is typically done either in office or in home on a one-on-one session. It is my understanding that Orchards provided one-on-one sessions with mother because I had observed those, and then L&L also provided one-on-one sessions.
And are those one-on-one times given to folks who don't have an intellectual disability?
If needed.
So you would say these services that were offered really aren't necessarily different that's offered to parents that don't have any sort of disability according to the department?
I would disagree with that statement.
Would you agree that repeating instructions one time is not the same as providing tailored ADA accommodations?
Instructions were repeatedly given to mother over a variety of time in various situations for her to understand the material.
Isn't it true that just recently in the last few weeks that the department has been working with my client's counselor to address the accommodations?
We've recently received response back. We've been attempting to work with her for several months.
Would you agree that it is a department's responsibility to provide services that are compliant with ADA?
Do.
Would you agree that if services were provided that were not modified just to fit her specific needs, the department did not provide reasonable efforts?
I do not agree with that, no.
You said one of the other concerns you had was the bond that my client has with the minor child. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you agree it's hard for somebody to build a bond like that when you only see your child a couple hours at a time, a couple times a week maybe?
I would disagree with that. I mean, I think that depends on each family. I've seen it go both ways.
During my client's parenting time, was she ever distracted during that parenting time, either by the department or one of the service providers trying to talk to her while she tried to have time with her son?
Yes and no, because for the most part, they do leave her to engage with her son. However, there's often times where coaching and modeling and intervention is required in order to safely ensure that she is parenting her son. So was the intention to distract? No. Did a pause need to happen so that we could ensure the child's safety? Yes.
Is it your understanding that my client is in compliance with her mental health treatment?
Yes.
Is it your understanding that she's also being, one of the things she's being treated for is anxiety?
My understanding is that she's being treated for anxiety and ADHD.
In your interactions with her, you've noticed the issues with the anxiety, correct?
Yeah.
Would you agree that they have baby gates at the house?
I do not recall. My last home assessment would have been at the end of April, so I apologize. They have mentioned it to me more than once.
Who's mentioned it to you?
Mother and father have mentioned the baby gates to me. I just have not visually seen them in the home.
What other preparations have they made for their home if they were to have the child returned to them?
They've had clothing, they've had bottles, they did not have formula food. Again, I understand that in terms of anticipation of when he'd come home. The bedding has not always been quite right. Again, they did rectify that. The remaining part of the home is lacking furnishing. Other than that, they mostly have toys and a car seat for him.
Do you know that does the department have a call it ADA coordinator or something like that that would help coordinate case service plans to comply with ADA?
I'm unaware, I apologize.
Did you receive any sort of specialized training on complying with ADA?
No. I did seek their technical assistance from their website. There's an entire several articles specifically at rights and responsibilities, a technical tool guide for child welfare agencies working with parents in foster care.
You read that?
Okay.
Okay. When was that?
In the last 2 reporting periods, I want to say.
Okay, all right. Don't you think it would have been helpful on this case to have somebody who is trained in ADA compliance to assist with the family with the case service plan and the service providers?
Yes and no. The goal was not to be in ADA compliance. The goal the entire time was to have an individualized tailored plan to best help mother retain the information so that she could safely parent her child. So no, being ADA compliant fully was not the goal. The goal was to ensure that mother understood and that all the individualized plans were aimed towards that.
Has my client attended all of her parenting times that she's allotted?
With the exception of one, there was a miscommunication, which would have likely have happened in any case. So that is, I won't say fully at fault of mom,
Okay, fair enough.
but yes. She missed one for a medical issue, but yes, overall, yes.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Are you aware also that my client recently completed a
Yes.
CPR course, the Red Cross?
Yes, and to my knowledge, that would be her third. So she completed infant CPR with CPC of Lenawee twice, and then I did receive documentation from the Red Cross. I'm sorry, from my supervisor, which mother had provided.
She's also attended and completed all the parenting classes through CPC that she's been asked to do so by the department. Is that also correct?
Yes, yes.
No further questions this time. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood, any questions?
Yes. Hi, Ms. Copas. Need a drink of water or anything?
If I could please.
Yes. Been talking for a while.
Thank you.
Usually catch that soon, I'm sorry.
She has a water bottle right here. Is that your water bottle right there?
It is.
Would you rather have your water?
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ready?
Yes, thank you.
All right. I'm going to try to be brief because I know a lot of these issues have already been discussed thoroughly. However, there's a few additional questions and clarifications. Are there concerns with domestic violence in the home?
There are.
Okay, was that one of the reasons why the child was brought into care?
Yes, there was a lot of verbal altercations in the home, specifically between Ms. Lomas's mother and father. That continues to happen. We've discussed with both parents the potential for couples counseling. They declined that service. We've discussed healthy boundaries. Miss Patty Lomas being in the home is a very significant trigger for father, and yet the family does not address that as an issue. When directly spoken to mother about her needing to aid in this discord in her home, she tends to freeze up and will not pick either side.
Aside from the domestic violence, are there concerns that there's a power control dynamic between Mr. Harmon Duckworth and Ms. Lomas?
Yes.
Does Mr. Harmon Duckworth tend to talk over Jackie?
Tends to talk over Jackie. He tends to answer for her. There have been meetings where he's blatantly told her to stop talking so that he can answer a question where she had, or vice versa, where she has attempted to calm him down and he has lashed out at her, saying that he doesn't need her assistance. And so there is a discord between them.
Thank you for that. There was a question that was asked by Mr. McFarland with regards to parenting classes and why Mr. Harmon Duckworth no longer attended those. Can you clarify what happened?
It's my understanding that father had been working with CPC of Lenawee since January. There had been some ongoing issues. They had attempted to accommodate him. He had some issues with his eyes and the inability to see. They had questioned, he repeatedly told them that he did not need that program and that he did not understand why this was even warranted because he had all the parenting skills he needed. And then in particularly somewhere, I do believe around July 16th, there was an episode within their office that allowed small children and other women in the facility to be exposed to his erratic behavior. And at that point, they did a pause in his services and referred him to Tranquil Parenting.
Thank you. In creating, so case service plans in general are designed for each parent, correct?
Yes.
So it's not necessary that each individual accommodation be included in that service plan, is that correct? So those accommodations are more between the service providers and the department to coordinate?
Yes, based on how their program is already designed and based on the needs of the parent moving forward.
And you believe throughout this entire process, regardless of whether you utilized ADA lingo or jargon, everything that the department has done has been in compliance with the ADA.
I do.
And it wasn't up until very recently that there was even a question as to whether the department was complying with ADA. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So to your knowledge, is it your understanding then that the ADA just requires the government to give people with disabilities an equal opportunity to benefit from their programs?
Yes.
Okay. It's not that the department hasn't done anything to deny either party from participating in their case service plan or allow them to participate in any of the programs or services. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is it a requirement that all service providers be required to or be specifically trained in ADA compliance?
It's not my understanding, no.
Just so we can be clear as well, there's questions with bonds. Ms. Edwards has seized this minor child about the same amount as currently as Ms. Lomas, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you observed the bond between the child and Ms. Edwards?
I have.
Okay. And would you say that the minor child knows and has bonded with Ms. Edwards over the course of the last several months?
Yes.
Okay. Does he recognize Ms. Edwards? And you have also regularly seen the child. Do you believe that your bond has strengthened with this child throughout the course of the reporting periods?
He's very affectionate. He does seem to recognize me during home visits. And I, at this point, see him sporadically when I check in on their visits, and then I see him once monthly.
We all understand that this is a very difficult situation to be in, and I'm sure it's not easy for you to be up on the stand to talk about all of these things. You believe Jackie loves her son?
Absolutely.
And you believe she's doing everything that she can to attempt to have the ability to parent her son?
I do.
Okay. And unfortunately, would you say that that's not the case with Mr. Harmon Duckworth?
Agreed.
Just to be clear on the record, you believe that the department has made several attempts to assist Mr. Harmon Duckworth in treating his mental health?
Yeah, we've had various conversations and several FTMs to discuss it and how treatment should be best moved forward. We've been met with a lot of resistance.
No further questions, thank you.
I noticed in the court reports that Jackie had transportation from either Orchards or L&L Parenting Time for all of her parenting times. Is that accurate?
Not all of her parenting time. So the department provides 6 tokens per parent, and they generally get them about every 11 to 14 days when they're active in services. When Jackie could not secure transportation, if she needed a ride being picked up or she needed a ride providing afterwards, then it would be provided, especially on some of those that like 1 to 3 visit where the bus kind of gets a little weird when it's arriving and time of that nature.
Did she ever provide for her own transportation to and from parenting time?
It's my understanding, no.
What about doctor's visits? I noticed that she's been able to attend all the doctor's visits. Was that due to her own transportation and facilitation, or was that also assisted?
No, that one she did on her own. It's my understanding that those did not require the yellow tokens that we gave her, but she did make the arrangements for that transportation on her own.
All right, redirect or questions based on my questions, Ms. Thomas.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
I do have more questions based on guardian ad litem's questions. It may last a little bit longer than 5 minutes if the court wishes me to do now or when we return. It's up to the court.
I'd like to try to finish with Ms. Copas
Sure.
Before we break for lunch.
Move, Your Honor. I think your answer, and maybe I misunderstood you, in regards to does mom appear to love her son, and it was yes, and I think was the same question regarding father. You would agree that father also loves his son, loves the child, right?
I've seen no evidence of that.
He's never told you that he loves the child?
No,
I think your answer was that you do not believe or you do not know that providers have to be trained in ADA compliance.
I was unaware.
You're currently unaware whether they have any ADA training. Is that what I understand?
Correct.
And did you provide them, the providers, what you believed what would be proper ADA compliance? Did you ever provide that to the providers?
In terms of like actual like providing with the ADA, because
Yes, complying with the ADA. Did you provide the providers any documentation, written documentation as what they need to do to comply with the ADA?
no, because the goal wasn't to comply with the ADA, the goal was to make an individualized plan to adhere to Jackie.
So you don't know whether the providers were complying with ADA or not, correct? Is that true?
No, because the goals were made to implement. They were in compliance with the department and the individualized plans that we created for Jackie, yes. But in terms of ADA compliance, no, we did not directly have an ADA plan.
Don't know whether these, you already answered that. The information about my client and any possible disruptions at the CPC, that's all secondhand information. You did not firsthand watch that, correct? Or observe that?
I did not. It was in my correspondence with CDC of Lenawee when they contacted me regarding the letter that they would be sending in regards to the pause and referral out for services when they had told me that it would be coming out.
So based upon your prior answers, it would be fair to assume that you've not provided CPC with any method of how they could comply with ADA and my client.
They created their own self-care plan based on Mr. Herman Duckworth's responses, but no.
My question to you was, you did not provide CPC with any means of what they needed to do to comply, correct? Do you know whether CPC has an ADA compliance officer?
I do not know.
Do you know what the policy of the agency is as far as subcontractors being ADA compliant? Do you know? Have you ever consulted your supervisor regarding that question?
We have, and the department takes on the responsibility, and it's our job to communicate the individualized plan for the parent.
So you communicated with your supervisor whether subcontractors need to have ADA compliance. Is that what I heard?
We did.
And who was the supervisor?
Erica Martin.
And what was her response to that?
That we were already doing it because we were doing individualized plans and that was adhering to the parent's needs.
It sounds as though she did not believe the subcontractors need to be in compliance with ADA. Is that what I'm hearing?
They do need to be in compliance with ADA. We believe that they were in compliance and that they already were in compliance because they had created with the department individualized plans to give the parents an opportunity to participate and to do the program that needed for reunification to best benefit them.
What's the agency's policy for child-parent visits for maximum bonding with an infant child of this age?
It is in the least restrictive and most family-like setting. And in regards to policy, mother has 2 hours twice a week.
Well, they're currently having 4 hours per week.
Yes, she is.
More, and that's the minimum requirements, correct?
It is.
And you would also agree that maximum bonding, according to policy, is best done with infants at a young age for successful parent-child bonding, correct?
Correct.
You also agree that more than the minimum requirement may provide better child-parent bonding. Do you agree with that?
I would not.
It may not.
Not in this case. Her bond outweighed the safety risk, and mother tends to get overwhelmed in visits, physically becoming labored in her breathing and ability to get around the room.
Why not more visits with less time?
She struggled with what she had. We wanted her to master what she could in the time that she had. And with the time that she had, she struggled.
So she's not mastering 2 hours. Why not break it into, let's say, multiple hours, multiple days per week? Why not that?
It's not proposed to us.
You saw her struggling with 2 hours, right?
I saw her struggling with 2 hours. If you ask her, she'll tell you she did just fine and did not need any help
I'm
or
not asking
assistance.
what she saw. I'm asking you what you observed.
I observed her to be struggling. However, 1 hour separated over multiple days as opposed to 2 hours would not have given us an accurate reflection of her parenting skills in the moment. 60 minutes would not have been enough time to assess as he grew older, whether she could adhere to all his needs.
What needs are we talking about?
Changing his diaper more than once, adhering to understanding his cues between being hungry, being tired. Right now she's doing well, but right now learning how to walk, things of that would not have been a sufficient time in 1 hour.
You're saying right now she's doing well with that, correct?
No, she still struggles, but she does make minimal progress.
She's making minimal progress. Why not expand her time now?
Again, I do not believe that it outweighs the safety risks opposed to the child.
I don't see where the child has ever been harmed in any of the visits, correct?
No.
And you always have a supervisor there. I think that's Miss Linda Edwards or her agency, correct?
Yes.
She's not responded that the child has been in direct risk, as I see from your reports, correct?
Not direct risk, but there
Thank
has
you. So I think if I heard your response correctly, you're trying to bring mother up to a higher level of comprehension rather than maybe giving her instructions at her current level. Did I understand that correctly, part of your goal?
No, the goal was to provide services that would meet her at her impairment so that she could understand what we needed her to understand for reunification. My expectation of both parents is the exact same expectation that I would expect from any parent to ensure a child's safety and ability to nurture and help them grow. We simply wanted to provide the services to best knowledge her to gain those skills.
Can you tell me how long the maternal grandmother has been residing with mother?
No, I cannot. Because my understanding is that she resided with them off and on, and I do not know of her comings and goings when she's in the home. My only indication that she is not there is that Mr. Harmon Duckworth is generally calm.
You don't know if she's residing and living there? Is that what I'm hearing?
My understanding is that she reports that she continues to reside in the state of Washington and that she flies back. But how often she's here and when she's not, I am not informed of that.
Is she able to attend parenting sessions with mother?
She's able to attend once a month for a relative visit. Mother has not wanted to share her parenting time or ask for anyone to be in those parenting times with her.
I guess I did cover it in a little bit over noon. Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Mr. Noe, any additional cross-examination?
I certainly do.
That would be a great time.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You would agree there's no documented domestic violence within last reporting period, correct?
Since July?
Yes.
Is that no? Agree or no, I disagree?
Oh, no, there have not been any.
There's not many. Okay, fair enough. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you. Thank you. Your position is that the department is in compliance with the ADA, correct?
Yes.
Yet you agreed during, I believe it was Reed Cross, Mr. McFarland, that you haven't been trained in that at all, correct?
Correct.
My client did a psychological evaluation.
Yes, she did.
Did she also, was part of that psychological evaluation an IQ test?
It was.
Was that ever provided to the service providers?
The IQ number, yes. The psychological, no.
Would you agree that the service providers need to understand a parent's cognitive limitations, especially in a case like this, in order to tailor services effectively in compliance with ADA?
They do.
Would you agree that without that evaluation, providers kind of left to guess about what the mother's needs are based on their analysis with her?
Don't think they needed to read that psychological. And that psychological was also a combined psychological with Mr. Harmon Duckworth's.
How can providers be expected to modify services for an intellectual disability if they're never given the results of psychological evaluation?
Because that was our plan and coordination.
Your
when we
Honor,
met with them.
sorry, Ms. Kopis, one moment. I'm going to object to the line of questioning. I believe that it is more appropriate as an argument, and it's an argumentative question. Ms. Kopis has testified now for over an hour and a half about ADA and trainings and service providers and the accommodations. And if the attorneys continue to ask these questions, then I would highly recommend that they take the trainings that are available online. There's a YouTube channel. There's free resources online. This is just going well beyond the scope of what we're here for today. Ms. Kopis has repeated all of these answers numerous times, and I've been patient and not objected. But at this point in time, I don't see that this line of questioning is fruitful. It is argumentative and most appropriate to be given at closing.
Response?
I guess my response to that would be that I think, while Ms. Thomas may disagree with this, I think the accommodations that were given to my client, or both parents really for that matter, and also compliance with ADA for that matter, is very important. And my question to the worker on this matter was that it would be that to demonstrate that if the psychological evaluations aren't given to the providers and I guess I think the IQ number was given, I think was her testimony, that's it only given to the providers, how are they supposed to reasonably comply with ADA requirements and with following through with being able to, more importantly, let's say best case scenario, they are compliant, that services are being crafted in coordination with the psychological evaluation that was done. And that's what I'm trying to get to, but that's not, I think that's highly relevant to these proceedings.
I'm going to sustain the objection and ask you to move on. Ms. Kopis has volunteered some information about some of the trainings that she's done on ADA coordination and that are available to the department, but I have not seen any of our attorneys, including you, Mr. Noe, establish that there is any relevance to asking for additional, I think some of it was subcontractors, or whether or not providing this information would have even benefited. And I have heard Ms. Kopis testify many times at this point that the services that were offered were tailored to your client specifically, and of her resistance to any tailoring to them, despite very obvious indications that she needed those services tailored to her. So I frankly, what this testimony has done, if nothing else, is thoroughly established that there have been accommodations made for Ms. Jackie Lomas, and I am not interested in any more cumulative evidence or cross-examination on that point. If you want to argue it, as Ms. Thomas said in your closing, feel free, but I don't have any basis to understand that any additional accommodations would have been even useful as it relates to Mr. Harmon Duckworth. Both parents have been very resistant, and she's testified to that. So any additional speculation on whether or not more services could have been beneficial is certainly without basis in the facts that have been established over the course of the many 3 or 4 reviews minimum that we've been here, and the extensive documentation every single time we've had a review on this. So please move along with something else. Thank you.
Very well. Ms. Kopis, in the parenting time, you're saying that my client struggled with the 2 hours, is what your testimony would be?
She did.
Okay. Did you ever consider modifications of that parenting time that would help her not struggle during those parenting times?
We did not consider any kind of modification. This was the best model that we could use to, one, get the correct observations that we needed to ensure that she was obtaining and retaining the skill set that she needed, while ultimately giving safety to the child. She never made it past the 2 hours, and so there was always the question of whether more time would even be beneficial when she struggled with the time that she had.
No further questions?
Any recross, Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat. We have on the docket some time this afternoon set aside for the resumption of testimony commencing at 2:30 p.m. Look forward to additional testimony at that time. That's all.